Hi everyone, I'm Miss Lydia from the Boston Library. Thank you for joining me for our craft project. Today we are using some recycled bottles to create decorative planters. You can use whatever type of bottles you have on hand. This is a regular pop bottle. I have a vinegar bottle here. You can also use regular water bottles. The size is going to determine what type of plant you can put in it. So if you're using smaller bottles, obviously you have to pick smaller plants. The supplies we need are obviously some bottles. Masking tape is helpful. You're going to need scissors or an X-Acto knife to cut out the shape. And then you're going to need some paints and decorative items. And then obviously to fill your planter, you're going to need soil and a plant. I'm going to start with my vinegar bottle. And on this one, I'm going to actually create a dinosaur. So I'm going to go a little ways up and I'm going to tape around to create the top of my planter. You don't need to use masking tape, you can just draw out the line, but it is helpful to get a nice even line here. I'm also going to use a Sharpie to create the neck of my dinosaur. You can make whatever type of dinosaur you want. You just have to you can freehand it and draw a bit of a neck and a face. You want to make sure that it's wide enough that it will stand up on its own. And then I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to start cutting the line around my masking tape. You want to be very careful if you're using an X-Acto knife. You can also just get that first little bit started, and then you can use scissors. It's okay if the line is a little bit jagged too. You'll be able to clean it up after you get the top of the bottle off. So for this one, so that I don't mess up my dinosaur head, I'm going to cut a large margin around it. You do want to be careful, the edges of the plastic can be somewhat sharp. Then I can discard this part, recycle it. At this point, I can remove my masking tape too. And you can see I have some little edges here. Again, they are a little bit sharp, but you can trim those up much easier now with those scissors. So now that I can get access to it, I'm going to cut out just inside my marker line here for my dinosaur head. Then I'm going to go around and clean up those edges just a little bit. Now I'm going to take a piece of fine grained sandpaper, just go lightly around the edges. This will help the paint stick. I'm also going to smooth off those edges that I cut just a little bit so that they don't have any sharp spots. Once I've sanded all my surfaces, I'm going to wipe off any dust, and then it's ready for painting. So I'm going to set this one aside. My second design is going to be a cat. So again, I'm going to follow the same basic idea behind this, and this design is very customizable. You can make any kind of animal, any kind of shape that you want out of these. These are just a couple of the options. I'm going to take my masking tape and run it around. When I have my masking tape line set, I'm also going to again use my Sharpie to draw out some cat ears. So I'm kind of visualizing where the cat face is going to be, and I will put those ears on here. So you can see I have my ears drawn on. This time, because of the curves of the bottle, I'm going to cut below the masking tape. So again, I'm going to carefully use my X-Acto knife to get that first little bit. And as soon as I have that slit in there, I'm going to switch to my scissors. This time I'm going to cut in a V shape up around the ears to get the top of the bottle off. Recycle that then. And then I'm going to cut out the ears. Much easier once the top of the bottle is off. And there you can see, it's a little bit tricky to see in this particular color, but you can see the cat ears. Again, I'm going to take my sandpaper, lightly go over all of the surfaces on the outside and around that top edge. Remember, those edges can be sharp, so you want to be very careful handling around the top. Again, I'm going to wipe off any dust from my sanding, and then this one is ready for painting as well. You can use any sort of acrylic paint if you want. You can also use spray paint. Spray paint is a little easier. You're going to get a better coverage of it. If you're using acrylic paint, you're going to want to use several coats. So I'm going to take these outside and spray paint them. I'm going to make my dinosaur blue and my cat white. It's a little bit windy for spray painting outside, but I want to make sure that I have plenty of ventilation. So I have my work area covered. I have my planter set up. I'm going to make sure that I shake my spray paint very thoroughly, and then I'm going to do light coats all the way around. Because the top of his head might stick up over the plants, I'm also going to make sure that I spray paint the inside of that as well. I'm going to let my first coat dry and then continue to do light coats until I get the coverage that I want. I'm going to follow the same exact process with my cat. With a few coats of spray paint on both my dinosaur and my cat, you can see what they look like so far. Now we just need to add the final touches. So for my dinosaur, it's going to be very simple. I have a couple of extra large googly eyes, and I'm going to draw a mouth on him with a Sharpie marker here. So I have my hot glue and my googly eyes, and I'm just going to attach those right onto his face. So you can see how the eyes look, and I'm going to give him a mouth. And there's his face all finished. You can decorate him additionally. You could add spots, you could add spikes, you could add a tail if you wanted to. And then he's all ready to be planted. For my cat, I'm going to use the same Sharpie to draw a face. So I'm going to make this a sleepy cat. I'm going to draw a couple of kind of wide U shapes for the eyes. And I'm going to add little eyelashes too. So there I have my cat eyes. And then I'm going to add a nose and mouth. And then he needs some whiskers too. So I'm going to add 3 small dots on either side of the nose. And then 3 whiskers. I'm also going to add just a little bit of detail to the inside of the ears as well. And there's my finished cat. Again, you could get fairly creative with this. You could add spots, you could add different colors into the face, you could use googly eyes, you could put pom-poms on him if you wanted to give him a tail, you could do that as well. At this point, we're ready to plant our recycled bottle planters. You're going to want some gravel at the bottom to provide a little bit of extra drainage, then your potting soil mix, and whatever plants you choose. I'll make sure I get a picture of the final product to share with you. I have my flowers all ready to plant. I have some gravel in the bottom to add a little bit of drainage, and then I'm going to start with my cat. I'm going to gently separate my flower here, and then I'm going to loosen the roots around the bottom just a little bit. I also have a little bit of soil here that I'm going to add on top of the gravel. And then I'm going to place my flower down inside. And pat that in around and then add in a little bit more soil around the top. And there's the finished cat. Same process for my dinosaur. I have added a tail that you can see with just some small foam triangles that I've glued on. I have my gravel down in the bottom and the soil around the sides. And I'm going to gently remove my plant from the pot. Separate the roots gently and place it inside my pot. And there's our finished dinosaur planter. Here's the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this week's craft. Remember, you can get as creative as you want to with the format of these planters. If you have any questions, comment below and I'll help you out, and we will see you next week.